What's going on, friends? Welcome back to the Honeystead. We're gonna head into the garden because we're gonna do a part 2 of my perfectly imperfect garden tour, weeds and all. If I waited until my garden was absolutely gorgeous, I don't think I would ever show anybody. So let's go check out what is growing in the high tunnel. This door sometimes gets a little stuck. Hold on, I have to manhandle it. Oh goodness. Looks like I forgot to turn the lights off. Sometimes I like to come up here at night because it gets quite toasty in here. So I'll come up here at night. I love it. It looks like a magical glowworm when it's lit up at night. I'll have to show you guys that. But this is our high tunnel that we use for right now. It's housing tomatoes. We've got a few different variety growing in here. And the trellising system that we use is the tomahawk hooks. So these are a string system, and I love it because I don't have any tomato cages and it's super easy to store. But what we'll use is we will tie them off or use clips, and then as the tomatoes grow, what I'll do is I will just kind of come and do one of these and twist it so that my tomato plants that are indeterminate, which means there's no actual height that they can grow, they will just continue to grow. So my indeterminate tomatoes are going to grow up and get very, very tall. I also have determinate tomatoes that are growing in here as well. I didn't do this last year, but we're trying it this year. We have Roma tomatoes on this side, and this side's gonna be a surprise because we just planted and I didn't quite label them. But that's okay. I know that they're all a larger tomato. So that's what we have growing in here. Now, I prefer to grow our tomatoes in this high tunnel. And the reason is because where I'm at, I'm grow zone 6B here in Virginia. I've had tomatoes growing all the way up past Christmas. And typically after that, we just start to pull them out. But I'm gonna try something this year. I think I'm gonna I'd like to see if I can keep 2 tomato plants alive throughout the winter, because honestly, I think I could have kept the other ones alive. Now last year we got hit pretty hard with tomato worms. There's little hornworms. So this year we did things a little bit different. I'll show you. So we went ahead and installed like a screen. So hopefully that any bugs that do end up trying to come in here, that could kind of help mitigate that situation. And I know I'm gonna have people ask, but the pollination that happens in here. So a lot of people are like, well, how do your tomato plants get pollinated? They will get pollinated through the wind. So I have 2 vents on both sides of the front of the high tunnel, and then I have that fan back there that is constantly running. So the wind flow that is in here will help that pollination process. I also have 2 other fans that I'm gonna hang on either side that I have been meaning to do for a while now, but that will help. So no, I don't have our honeybees coming in here for pollination. They don't actually need to come in here. There's plenty of other things for them to pollinate. And I might have to take you guys up here at night because it is magical. Oh, and I'll also tell you, I have a makeshift drip irrigation watering system that comes through and just drips directly right at the root. I do sometimes have to come back in here and just adjust it over top, but that'll help keep the plants from getting yucky. And then I do heavy prune This one is due for another pruning. I want to expose as much as the bottom as possible, and that just helps with the airflow as well, and then helps with the actual tomato leaves from getting anything gross growing on them. And this is a lot less tomato plants than what I normally have growing in here, but I'm really trying to not grow 200 tomato plants like I normally do. This year I'm growing a lot more of something else that I will admit and tell you about. It is quite hot and we have not had that much rain. Now tomorrow, I did look on the forecast and it did say that we were going to get some rain, so fingers crossed it is not just a quick rain and we actually get something that is worthwhile, because I might have messed up in my garden, but it's okay. It kind of had to happen. Let me show you. So all along this area right here, I had planted about 7 years ago a whole bunch of strawberry crowns. Now, I have been battling honeysuckle, and not like the native honeysuckle that I have growing. This is the other honeysuckle, which, as much as I love it, I think it's beautiful, the bees love it, but it definitely will take over. And I've had such of a hard time over here with watering. So my strawberry plants, I don't know if they're just super hardy, because I kept them alive. But as I was kind of coming in through here and weeding, I noticed that there are just so many strawberry plants, and my goal is to just kind of rip this whole section out and plant something that doesn't require a whole lot of water. So I might end up doing just more lavender or rosemary on this side versus something that is going to require too much water, because it's just an area that I failed in. Let me rephrase that. Maybe not necessarily failed, just maybe not put as much effort as I should have. Now we've had some really beautiful strawberry harvests before, but again, it's just, I could do better. I might just be a bad strawberry mom. But as I was going through and I started weeding yesterday, I was debating on maybe I can transplant them. So in this mess, which isn't that huge, I was able to help harvest and transplant a good bit of strawberries. Now, I watered them really good last night after I transplanted them, but I think this heat is starting to get to them, and I will show you. We will see. We will see. Again, this is a science experiment, and it might work, it might not. But regardless, I have to rip that whole area up, because it needs a lot more attention than what I have been giving it. So I did go ahead and attempt to transplant my strawberries, but they're kind of looking a little sad. The ground is still nice and damp. Yes, I'm using ground cover. Honestly, I do like it. A lot of people are like, oh, it would get too hot. But when you put your hand underneath of the ground cover, the ground is actually very cool. So I think the strawberry plants are just kind of in shock right now. And I'm gonna keep a close eye on them. And I watered them really good last night. I'll water them again. When I transplanted, I tried to save as much as the root as possible. So these I'm just gonna kind of babysit and watch and hope that they will pull through. I'm positive that they will, almost positive at least. And if worst case scenario happens, I'll just replant. Sometimes you just have to do what you have to do, but instead of just ripping them out, I wanted to try to salvage them. So that was kind of my goal. Do you remember how I was telling you guys about the wild lettuce in the last video, it's definitely coming up. I'm gonna come in here and harvest all of this. We need to set up a tincture because I've had a few people ask, how do you do it? So that is kind of my goal that I'm gonna do this week, is go ahead and harvest a good bit and then plan on heading over to the Apothecary and setting that up. So that will be probably one of your next videos that you're gonna see. If I can get that done, maybe I might do that tomorrow. I'm trying to schedule my videos so I know, because I know a lot of you guys are very happy that I've been able to kind of take you guys with the herbalism journey and, you know, incorporating the garden into it. I love foraging, so this is definitely another part of what I love about sharing. But I have to remember what I haven't shared or what I have shared. So if I'm repeating myself again, that's okay. You know, you guys can just enjoy it. Do you see all of this? Soon enough, all of this is going to be growing up and over, and all even back there too. But this is going to be the passion flower archway. It is really grown a lot more in the last couple of days. Now I've had this growing for a couple of years now, and what I do, I come back every like going into winter, I'll cut the passion flower back. The roots will stay in the raised beds, and then they just grow, come back every single year. So this is going to be beautiful. My goal is to try to save some of the seeds from the fruit. The fruit is very delicious. The flower is wonderful. The leaves we add in our teas, we add in our tinctures. It's very calming. It's very mellow too in flavor. But this is Passiflora incarnata, just so if anybody is looking at adding passion flower to their garden, if you want the medicinal form, this is probably the best medicinal passion flower that you can get. I had a few passion flower vines grow in areas that I didn't quite want it to grow, so I went ahead and pulled the root. I've got it soaking in water. We're gonna re-root these, and these might become gifts for people, because I will have a lot. And what's even more beautiful about growing a wonderful garden is having something that you can share with your friends. Oh, hi girl. This sweet girl always comes to the garden with me. I mean, it is all the time. Like, she'll literally come up to me and talk to me until she can get into the garden. So I open the gate and she just does her patrol. She did find one of our strawberry plants that we have growing in the raised bed, because my mom picked a strawberry and gave it to her, and she snacked on it, and then the next thing we knew, she jumped up in the garden bed, and that's okay. That is her payment for the work that she is doing while she is here. I need to come in here and mulch. We've got some hibiscus that is growing. So I have a few that I'm growing straight down this raised bed. As you can see, I've got to come in through here and pull up some of these roots. I do have some mulch. That is what I'm probably going to be working on today, is just heavy mulching these beds, just with some plain wood chips that we have. And then hopefully that'll help keep the moisture in while during the months where it's just, I mean, goodness, it is just so dry. We've got a few marshmallow plants that we have growing right here. So we're gonna come in, and when we go to harvest the root, that is what we're gonna use. You can use the leaves too, but the root itself is super lovely and so just full of mucilage. I'm gonna stand in the shade for a second, and if the gnats start bothering me, I'll put the veil back on. Yes, I have had people ask me, why am I wearing a bee veil when I'm just working in the garden? These gnats just come at my face and my eyes, and so I just need it. I need to be able to not have that happen, and then also What I like about having my veil is it takes a lot of the tension off of my eyes from being so, you know, in the sun, and of course it's good for your complexion too. So that is why I wear a veil. But with the marshmallow root, so we're going to use the leaves and we're going to use the root. The leaves you can tincture. A lot of people ask about tincturing the root. I'd prefer to do a cold infusion on the root or add it into a tea because of that mucilage. In short, it's very soothing to your digestive system. So when you're, like for instance, we had a bout of a stomach bug that hit our guts a few weeks ago, and I immediately went right towards the marshmallow root and I made a cold infusion. So I took the root, I put it in a jar, added some cold water, let it sit. You can literally see the mucilage from the root, and then what you're going to do is you're going to drink that. So all of that cold infusion is going to just very much settle your digestive system, but it's also going to kind of help with the membranes, the tissue that you have in your digestive system. So it's going to nourish that. And I think we need to do that video next on top of, so maybe in the next video we're going to set up a marshmallow root cold infusion. We're going to talk about that, and then also the wild lettuce, because I know that I have to get this thing harvested and start processing that. This is the time that you would go ahead and plan on doing that. The marshmallow needs some time to grow, so I will show you the fresh portion of that later when we harvest it. Right now it's just a baby, but it's going to grow big and tall and produce beautiful white flowers that I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see it grow. So that will be next. How about we plan that? And I'm saying this because it's accountability. You're going to show everybody what you did? You're doing such a good job. All right, I won't bother you. She's sitting on her babies right now, but I took a video yesterday when she was out of the nest, and I will show you. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. The yarrow is so beautiful, and the bees are already starting to they're already starting to find it. Check it out. This is the mullein update. It's getting taller, and soon enough we're gonna have beautiful yellow flowers that we can harvest and make stuff with it. I'm getting very excited about being able to start planning out the medicinal garden here at the outside of the apothecary. While I'm over here, I'm going to take you guys, we're going to go check on our shiitake logs that we inoculated, because I would imagine that I should start seeing some mushrooms, and maybe nothing yet. I know it takes a little while, but I'm really hoping that we start seeing something, because this is something that I've been very excited to start doing. It's just been so dry lately. I wonder if that's playing a role. It might be. We'll keep checking. Oh, so gorgeous. This is motherwort that we have that we planted around, and then right behind it, surprise, right behind it is a stinging nettle plant. I am gonna be harvesting some of that here soon too. Probably need to do that sooner than later. Our goal for this area back here, once we kind of get it cleaned up a little bit, pick up some of these trees that had fallen and then take down some that are probably gonna fall sooner than later, is I want to turn this into like a whole medicinal walk area, so that when we host our workshops, we'll be able to bring people out here and go on walks, on plant identification, bringing in the plants. There's so many plants that I still want to continue to grow, and some that I have to transplant from my parents' property, which are like the black cohosh, blue cohosh, all of those plants. But I love it back here. I mean, it is so pretty and it has so much potential. We just need to clean it up. It's just not been the top priority on our list of all the things, but I know that this is coming. I know that this is going to be awesome. But one of the other reasons why I'm growing so many plants in our garden, so many herbs in our garden, yes, for preservation, but I also want to save as many seeds as possible so that we can plant all throughout here and let this be that wild, untamable portion of the garden. So we're bringing in the plants. That's what we are doing. And the other thing that I have to do is make sure that I mark the spots where we plant the things so that it doesn't accidentally get mowed over. Which it happens. I planted a whole bunch of elderberry clippings that I was super excited, but they accidentally got mowed over. Which, whatever. At this point, it is what it is. Oh, it feels so good in here. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is great. I wanted to cool down a little bit. It is super, super hot outside, and I am praying that we get some rain, and I'm hoping tomorrow is the day. I would love for like 3 or 4 days of rain. Just a beautiful misty drizzle here for the garden. I'm hoping that these little plants that we have growing in there are gonna continue to grow. I've been pretty diligent about watering every single day and going out and walking and just being a part of the garden and honestly seeing what's happening and seeing the change. And for me, by taking you guys with me, it kind of reminds me like, oh, it is growing. I don't always see it when I'm out there every single day, but then looking back at some of the older videos, I'm like, okay, we are keeping these plants alive and they are growing. But there's a lot that I want to teach. There's a lot that I want to show. There is something that I'm finding that I'm absolutely falling in love with, is just all of this, you know, and I'm excited to take you guys on this adventure with us. Obviously I say us, but I'm standing here alone, but my mom is also a huge part in this, and we're trying to work out our days when we know like we're gonna film. I'm gonna just say, because we do this on the side of what we're also doing, and documenting and sharing is not the reason why we are living this life. We're not doing all of this just to be able to share on YouTube. It helps, and it helps encourage, it helps inspire, and that's a huge aspect, a huge part to it. But we do have lives outside of YouTube, and we do have a homestead outside of YouTube, and we are constantly growing our food, growing our plants, foraging. In fact, I already went for a walk and I've got my eye on a chicken of the woods that is a baby chicken of the woods, but I think it's going to be a big one. So I can't wait to show you guys that when we go to harvest it, because that's probably one of my favorite mushrooms to eat outside of morels and hopefully shiitake and hopefully wine cap. We just need rain. We need rain. Oh, and I will also add, I have had some people ask about the mushroom spores that I spread, the morel mushroom spores that I spread last year. Nothing yet, but I did read that it can take a good little while for that inoculation period to happen. So maybe by next spring we'll have morel mushrooms growing down there, and hopefully soon I'll have some shiitakes. I've got some oyster mushrooms that I'm going to be setting up in a bucket, some pink oysters. I need to actually do that. See, this is what happens when I start telling you guys all the things that I need to do. Then I'm like, accountability. I will take you guys and be a part of that. But anyways, I want you to be a part of this and just experience. And I'm excited. I've been able to talk with a lot of you and kind of hear your story and hear the plants that you're growing and what you're finding. And I think we're building a community. That's what I think is amazing. So I have got some tinctures that I got to blend up for some very special people. So I'm going to get on to that, and we'll pick this up. So the next couple of videos that I think we're going to do is the wild lettuce and the cold infusion, the oyster bucket. And then I've had some people ask about doing an apothecary tour. So, and that's coming. So we will do this date again. So thank you guys for coming with me and doing a second portion to the garden tour and talk about the future garden that's going to be out here probably next year. But as always, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and learn something old. Bye guys.